So we are focusing on a restorative practice for this bite-sized video. So you may want to use a bolster. If you haven't got one of these, maybe use a cushion, maybe use a roll-up blanket. There are different options that you can use, but this is just going to be to support the body. So we're going to start in a supported child's pose. So bring the knees to the outer edge of the mat, bring the toes to touch. Just bring the bolster, the blanket, or whatever you're using, and we're just going to slowly lower the upper body towards the bolster. Maybe placing a cheek, maybe the forehead, or maybe the other cheek, and we're just going to take a few breaths here. Just walking the hands out in front, maybe noticing the forearms resting on the mat, and just start to bring the awareness towards the breath. As we breathe in, filling into the lungs. And as we breathe out, emptying out the lungs. So we're in our supported child's pose here. We're just releasing any tension across the lower back, just lengthening the spine, and keep sinking those hips towards the heels. So we can stay here for as long as maybe between 2 to 5 minutes. If the mind wanders, if any thoughts come and go, just acknowledge those thoughts and keep bringing the awareness back to the breath. Using this time to slow the breath right down. And we're just going to take the last few breaths here, taking a slow breath in. Slow breath out. Allow the body to feel heavy. Melting towards the mat or onto the bolster. And maybe closing down the eyes. And maybe just taking a little bit longer here. We're going to move into our next posture, so taking your time, walking the hands back towards the body. Just moving the bolster or the cushion or the blanket away, we're going to find our way to our sleeping butterfly. So see if we can place the prop behind the hips. Allow the feet to fall together and allow the knees to fall out to the side. And in your own time, slowly walk the arms away, allowing the spine to fall onto the bolster, allowing the arms to fall out to the side. And staying here for around 2 to 5 minutes. Maybe closing down the eyes, working with the breath. And just allowing the knees to keep falling heavy. You may want to support the knees here and place a block, a cushion, a rolled up blanket, anything beneath the knees. It will start to get closer towards the mat as time goes on. We're really opening the chest here. Stretching into the chest, allowing the shoulders to just fall away, allowing the arms to fall away. And again, just working with the breath, taking a slow breath in, slow breath out. Breathing in, and breathing out. To help with the breath, you may want to count to 4 as we breathe in. And count to 4 as you take a slow exhale. This is going to help you to slow down the breath. It's going to help the mind keep focused. It's just going to help you to connect with the breath. Again, maybe staying a little bit longer here if you feel like that's what your body is calling. Or if you come into me, we're going to move into the next posture, which is going to be our supine twist, supported with the bolster. So nice and slow, taking your time here. Coming onto the elbows, just walking the hands. So we lift the upper body, taking the legs out in front. We're just going to move the bolster over to one side And allow the spine to fall back to the mat. Bringing the knees into the chest. Taking the arms out to the sides. And we're going to slowly allow the knees to fall over to the right. And see if you can take the gaze over to the left. If you're not using a prop, maybe just allow the knees to fall towards the floor, maybe using the right hand to place over that left knee to bring a little bit of pressure. Wherever you are, we're going to stay here for around 2 to 5 minutes. Working with the breath, releasing any tension across the chest. Just stretching and lengthening those muscles, protecting the spine. And just allowing this time to slow down. Slowing down the breath. Slowing down the thoughts. And slowing down the heart rate as well. And when you're ready in your own time, bringing the knees back through to center. And just moving the bolster or whatever prop you are using over to the left. And we're now going to allow the knees to fall over to the left side of the space. Take the gaze over to the right. Maybe close down the eyes. Allowing the knees to hang heavy. Start to work with the breath. Slow everything down. And a slow breath in. Slow breath out. Again, staying here for as long as a little, or as long as as long or as little as you need. And in your own time, start to bring the knees back through to center. Maybe hug the knees into the chest and just gently rock the knees from side to side or bring the forehead towards the knees. And we're going to slowly make our way to a seated position. So taking the legs out in front, we're just going to come into this gentle hamstring stretch here. So you may want to place the prop, the bolster, the blanket, the cushion on top of the knees. Maybe inhale, reach the hands high. And as we exhale, we're just going to forward fold. And we're staying here for a few breaths. So just allowing the spine to fall forward. You may want to place a pillow, a block, a rolled up towel, or anything underneath the hips here. Sometimes when we elevate the hips, it's easier to fold forward. As the spine rounds, the stretch is intensified. So we want to try and find that round through the spine. Just allowing the arms, the shoulders, and the head to hang heavy. And just working with the breath. Start to stretch into those hamstrings, into the upper back. And again, staying here for around 2 to 5 minutes, taking as long or as little as you need. If the mind wanders, acknowledge the thoughts, but keep bringing the awareness back to the breath, back to the sensations in the body, maybe behind the legs, maybe across the upper back. Just taking the last 3 breaths here before we move on to the last posture. And when you're ready, nice and slow, start to walk the hands back to the body, lifting the gaze, taking your time, nice slow movements, removing the block. And we're just going to head into our last restorative posture. So there's a few different options here. You may want to place the legs up the wall, or you may want to elevate the hips slightly, maybe placing a cushion, the bolster, whichever prop you are using. And we just want to lift the legs. And we're going to be staying here again for around 2 to 5 minutes, taking as long or as little as you need. We're just allowing a nice healthy flow of blood around the body, improving the circulation, with the hips being higher than the heart. And just close down the eyes, work with the breath. Taking the last few breaths here. This is your practice. If you need a little bit longer, please stay as you are. Or if you're coming with me, we're just going to carefully bring the knees to the chest. Bring the knees back to the mat. This is going to take us to our supported bridge. And we're just going to take the last few breaths here. When you're ready, in your own time, carefully taking the bolster away from the hips. Find your Savasana, sending the feet towards the top corners, allowing the arms to fall away from the body, closing down the eyes, and just finishing this practice here with a moment to yourself, again challenging you to slow down. You may want to finish with a full body stretch with an inhale, taking the arms overhead, bringing the toes to touch. And as we exhale nice and slow, bring the hands back to the body.